So, in nature, there are three energies, three levels of energies. I have explained enough, but from this angle, what we call the Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. If you look at Durga, it is a pure internal power, combustion power, a gathered force. It is also called chaos or dark because everything is there. From passion to emotions, it feeds everything. It's not emotional energy, it's pure energy. It becomes, it's pure electricity. Then it becomes the expression where creativity and forming a society and forming an action comes, and it also is the intelligence, the mind. So, thoughts generated by this energy are the creative ones. Thoughts generated by the outer pressure are the superficial one. So, in relations, it is very important that do not expose your dot, your creativity first circle, and your second circle of creative mind which is related with you. Only to those who can understand are of that level. Because in relations it happens that you expose your energy self to somebody's mind. So if you are going to expose your energy self to somebody, make sure that they are also living as an energy self, not a mind self. But usually attraction happens with the opposites. Mostly I've seen very energetic flowing person will be something very intellectual and dry. There is an attraction of opposites. So that can be bridged, that if you're an intellectually dry person, develop an energy side. If you're an energy person, develop an intellect side, the third circle around you. Because that's where most of the people are helpless in society, because they were never given enough of instructions how from the center to energy to personal self to functional self outside in relations and all that. But it all arises from your energy self, the center self. So, on personal level, you need to train yourself also for these things, because, for example, in today's time, your mind should every day should be fed about the center information, which is spirituality and what gurus speak and all that. Then energy information, how to be more creative, learn new arts, and the mind information, more inspiring thoughts and information. This way you are feeding your core. If your mind is only taking unnecessary garbage information, slowly your center shifts to the mental noise, cultural mental noise. Hence, we do not find people with individuality. Because if you feed these centers, you will start to realize that you are having a individuality. You see world in a certain way. You have your own understandings about things. That's what gives birth to humans with excellence. And spiritually also, for example, in India there are systems of temples, and each zone has a god or goddess, or each culture has a goddess. These were especially designed for people who are not going to explore these first two, three things. They were going to live in a social structure which has to be organized by wisdom oriented, some kind of their own deity. That deity is kind of a light from the scriptures and God or a higher spirit. They tell you how to function in this system. But as soon as you start to go inwards, then they become useless for you, because they were needed only for a certain social structure, social formation. But still people worship it. They don't realize that function behind was they maintain a certain energy mind structural balance. because your mind is around them, so they rule the movement of your culture, and it is very helpful. Many cultures develop because of that. But out of that culture, so tragedy what happens is that people just consider that as an absolute dead end. I have seen that in villages in Himalayas, same thing happens, that for them that is everything. But it also makes sense because they don't think of exploring the core, reaching the divine within, to Ram, to Krishna. For them, because these entities also accommodate your lives and desires. That's why they are not spiritual. They are demigods. They are not spiritual because mostly cultures connect with deities. They are not pure in their intention, because you go there, fulfill, fix this problem, fulfill this, fulfill that. That's what their only function is. That's why when Guru enters, then your system is not so corrupted because of those deities, so you can easily be turned in. But in today's time, when people do not have that kind of entity in their life, they are more scattered. They have created their own deities, from movie stars to garbage in the information field collective. So in today's time, it's the most misguided center is the mind, because it has become the center. So it seeks center in others, because you cannot find a center into your thoughts. Any philosophers, any writers who found a center into their thoughts, they went crazy, because they were not aware that center is something else. Thinking, conceptual world is the leaves of it. They are not the roots. To take leaves to be your roots, autumn is going to come and you will be bare, lonely and alone. So, to each person, when you are interacting outside with people, only expose your fourth layer, which is social interactional self. Because mostly people start to, I used to do that, I used to talk about my first layer, second layer, creative ideas, what I felt, and this and that. That person over there has no idea. And what is happening is, you're opening up and inviting a mind into the zone where it will create a chaos within you or a disconnection. Like people ask me, recently there were questions that I am hearing this buzzing sound. I always hear it. Now here, this buzzing sound, the ego is not creating, but the ego of the person is asking, how dare this sound is happening? I need to have a credit for it. I need to know. I want to have that as my trophy. Mind cannot handle that. So I didn't answer. Because if I say, yeah, this is sound of Om, this is happening, and the mind is okay, I am some special thing. It is beyond you. You don't need to talk about it. It's not bothering you, fine. Even if something is bothering you, just bear it. Because this is the strategy of mind, that thinking, the ego wants to take credit. Why this is happening to me? It's not happening to you. To you only thoughts happen. Rest happens to the cosmic body of you. You take credits. So, to be aware in each relation that which layer you are going to expose, you are already creating a protection for yourself. I suffered that a lot. I used to sing in public places, and I was really for a year or two, because I was exposing a very, very deep self in public to people. I was thinking that in a way it was helpful to others, for me also, but on the deeper self, it was really, because various kind of minds are listening to me. They are shedding their stresses, their minds into it. The point is that if your combustion inside is radiating out, many of the negative entities will not enter you. They cannot enter, because now you are property of the cosmic Shakti of Kali. But when you ignore your Shakti, the Kali, and make something else your father, mother, then you are under the influence of all black magic, all influences of all the disasters. So that's where your trust has to be into the present energy. It's only present and which is running the cosmos, which will run your life also. And for that, that is the true devotion or puja, to come to that every day. Even when you are unable to do certain practices, make sure 5-10 minutes sit for your sitting and 5 minutes just do your movement. You are just touching it. Never for a single day lose touch. Even for 10 minutes is good enough. It's better than nothing. So this pattern has to be understood, that within you, you come from a center as a joyful flowing energy of the cosmos. Then it becomes your thoughts, your ego, your social self, your action. On personal level, you have to have a discipline in life which is organic and based into the rhythms of your being, not the rhythms of the society. So have rhythms of your being. Around it, you organize according to the rhythms of the society, but your base is rhythm of your being. And then it becomes your defense, because anybody intrudes before your social self, there is a personal self which says, hey, you're interfering. Very clear. You don't ever let them know your energy side yet, because they don't deserve that. You share only because you don't respect it. You think you got it here and there from somebody, and let's impress. So this is your ghost mistreating and sabotaging you by offering it to others. You don't talk to others. Your ego talks to others to impress them, because it feels its center is into the validation of others. This I have learned in a hard way, but finally I realized fault of everything lies within you, how your mind treats your spirituality, treats your creativity, treats your women who are, or men who are, they do not value and respect their creative force. They keep offering to others, they keep stealing from others. You cannot have a respect for a stealed product. You will spend it off again. So from a creative expression, you need to come with your own creative ideas and thoughts as a personal circle, because that's where you realize the direction or swadharma or the nature of life. Don't ask others, what is my direction? Start from there. It shows you, because it's an energy direction. It's not an intellectual social plan. And that water of life can find its way in the society and create prosperity. But when idea is given to you, your father says you become a doctor or engineer, your being unable to find its expression, it starts to feed and leak into the social system. And then you become like most of the population is, ghosts with their body, ghosts haunting the bodies. So on social level, it is very, very important if you start anything, even on the social level of success and prosperity. Personal thoughts, personal energy phenomenons. These days I see on internet, lots of celebrities and people are posting their pictures with their wives, beautiful family and this. These are personal things, not to be exhibited. Because what happens is that your ego is playing this game to show off people how great wife or husband you have and how many kids you have. It is not creating blessings in the most of the population. They are kind of saying, oh, I also want that. They are not giving you energy. This is how I noticed that some people I saw that when I was used to paint, and they would say, oh, I would also like to do that. It's fine to have that inspiration, but in their voice there is a disruption of me. Instead of saying I want to learn, that's separate. I also want to do that. This is kind of a friction with my energy and it cancels you if you are gentle. So refrain from talking about your personal self phenomenon. Know the boundaries. Even the closest of relations, your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, mother, father, they are mother, father, girlfriend, boyfriend on superficial level. On personal level, your connection with life is sacred. It has to be shared only with people who have the similar inclination and who can understand that. But also again to a context, not to just to talk about it. Because that way you end up exposing things to what we hear, the world of ghosts and demons, and they live on that. They want you to share that prana so they can feel the life. That's why they show the Kali, the heads she is wearing, they're bleeding. They are cut off from the source of life. People are cut off from the prana of life. When they come across people who are full of prana, they stick on to them because they get a certain thrill energetically, psychologically, which they lack in their interactions in life. So do not intellectual. And the danger is that as an artist, I know that when you have a creative idea, only so far you express, then you shut up. But the obsessive creative self, which is related with the ego and its identifications, it can overdo it also and deplete the source. So there is always finding a balance. Communicate, but after a while, enough. Namaste, thank you. We'll talk later. But not have a 3-hour session of just getting drenched with other people's garbage. Because always remember, when you are sharing an energy, you are also receiving an energy. So make sure what will come from the other side. So this is very important. On personal level, decorate your mind with new thoughts, learn new wisdoms. Any wisdom which makes you think and put your life into reflection and you see, it makes sense. You have grown.